Welcome to Knicksfandom. This is an independent New York Knicks fan-based podcast, which was created by fans for fans. The show is hosted by LA Blackwell, Danny, and Flau. They'll discuss the issues surrounding the Knicks, the NBA, and various other sports-related topics. Join us. It's going to be a heck of a ride.
Oh, it's a new day. No, it's not. The Knicks are still sucking right now, folks. But we here. We got your relief. We got your medicine for us. It's that time again. Welcome, everyone. This is episode 10 of our podcast known as Knicksfandom. I'm your host, as always, LA Blackwell. I'm glad to be joined by one of our co-hosts, Danny D. How you been, brother?
What's going on, LA? Just another day is the slogan that we say.
That's right. That's right. As always, I'm thrilled to be joined by my other fellow co-host, Flo. How's everything, Flo?
LA, I'm good, brother. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. A lot better than these Knicks doing right now. We're going to jump right into it, fellas. You know, right into it. Our first segment, known as a weekly roundup for the Knicks. And basically, since our last podcast, the last 4 games, the Knicks, they lost 3 out of 4. And that game before that, they lost to the Pelicans 110-96. They also lost again to the Sixers in a heartbreaker 98-97. Then they won a game against the Bulls, 104-89. And then today they lost again to the Raptors in basically a blowout game from the beginning to the end for the most part. They really didn't show up. Let's go right into it, Flo. How you feeling about these Knicks right now, 1-3? In the last 4 games of our podcast.
Right now, LA, like we mentioned before in the previous podcast, it's time to break up this team right now. They got to make moves. Right now, this Knicks team is over $8 million in the cap. Over $8 million in the cap. They got to free up some cap space, make some moves. And they don't really need to rebuild. I would say more they need to retool, per se.
I hear you. I agree with that. What about you, Daddy? What's going on with you? How you feel about the Knicks right now?
And they playing like doo-doo. That's what it is. They playing like doo-doo. They should have been 0-4 if you go like that. Because the only reason they beat the Bulls because half the team didn't play.
Can't disagree with you, man. It's tough right now. And overall, let me just go back to the statistics-wise. The Knicks right now, 18-23. They lost they only won 2 of their last 10 games. They're 2-8. Their home record is 12-8, and their away record is 6-15. It's not going to get it done right now at all. We've been waiting on them. We've been hoping they're going to turn it around. And today's game against the Raptors, it was a horrible game, you know. I don't get right into specifics, but, you know, it was a game they really didn't show up, you know. Third quarter just gave up to me, you know. How about you? Anybody want to step in with that?
For me, I had them losing to the Raptors. But really, they should have had a better competition against the Pelicans and the 76ers. They should have went 3-1. That's what it should have been. They should have went 3-1 and contested against Toronto. But once again, playing like boo-boo doo-doo.
How about you, Flo? Anything stands out Pacific-wise with any of these 4 games? I mean, you can start anyone you want to start with, you know.
With the Pelicans game, pretty much, man, they got ran out of their own building in the Pelicans game. I mean, Drew Holiday was running up and down the court with Anthony Davis, pretty much, and this game was over in the third quarter. In regards to the Philly game, they choked, as usual. The Knicks are excellent at choking. And with the Bulls game, I was surprised they actually won that game. You know, it was a TNT game. The Knicks were taking a lot of criticism from one of the analysts, Brent Barry. I don't know if you guys read the article from the New York Post where he made some comments about the Knicks, how Phil's done a lousy job. And I actually agree with him on that statement. And with this Toronto game, I really didn't pick them to beat Toronto because, like I said, the Knicks season was over when they lost to Phoenix when they went on their West Coast trip. That's when the season was over to me. That's really when they self-destructed, pretty much.
No, I agree with you, you know. But it's one thing to lose and one thing to get blown out. That's the thing that's just really frustrating with this team right now. It's like they're not really fighting. It's from game to game. You think they're going to give you a fight, and they don't. Some games guys play, some games they don't. Melo's been up and down. Porzingis been up and down. And just overall the same issues that's been happening from the first podcast. We were talking about the defense, the bench. You're not really getting nothing. Today was another prime example of that. You had the bench step up because the starters basically went to sleep. And, I mean, I don't know if y'all saw some of the camera angles they were showing. The bench just look. I mean, the starter look totally depleted out there, man. These supposed to be professionals, and you playing like that. The Knicks fans deserve better, man. But you haven't seen a champion since '73, so this team deserve better. And it's something's gonna have to change one way or the other right now. I don't know. It's gonna be coaching. I don't know. It's gonna be players gonna have to be dealt, but something's gonna have to happen, even from top to bottom right now. Cause it's pitiful right now. You deserve more than Mecca. You got to play better than this. You got to give more of an effort in this. It's just disgusted by it right now. But I don't really know what else to say about this one more games, man. But, what you say, D?
Oh no, I ain't saying nothing. I agree.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to this, Flo?
I mean, here's the thing. You really can't, as much as you want to fire the coach, you really can't, because keep in mind that our owner, Jim Dolan, is still paying for our former coach, Derek Fisher's salary. Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. So he's still on the books, the Madison Square Garden books, So, I mean, the only move our owner, Jim Dolan, could do, he comes to Phil and says, listen, you're fired or you coach this team. This is your mess. It's one or the other, I mean, there'll be pressure on Phil to make trades, but at the end of the day, he's done a lousy job. And I wish I had the correct stat in front of me. I really don't. But I believe under the Phil Jackson era, I believe the Knicks are 67-133. I got to double check that number, but that's supposedly their record under the Phil Jackson era.
Wow. Not going to give us the type of money that they're paying them either. But, I mean, just looking at, what do you think the main thing is just wise? Do you think it's chemistry? Do you think it's talent? Do you just think it's coaching? Do you just think it's everything? Just looking at it from a fan perspective and what you see. Either one.
D, all of the above. That's what it is, because like I said, it starts with Phil. Because everybody says, oh, mellow. But sometimes you have to put the parts around. He's a ball. You have to put the right parts with Melo. That's what you really have to get the right parts with Melo.
But then Derrick Rose. Do you think he really can win be competitive as a championship team then? I mean, I've been one of the biggest Melo fans, but after a while you have to say this team is not responding like it should be,
But then again, we can say that, but he still don't got the right parts. You have an iffy guard. We're not even going to get on him that don't want to show up to games. Then you have a center.
We got to address that, man. We got to address that. The Derrick Rose is not showing up. And what game was that again? I'm trying to remember right now. It's
Pelicans.
There you go.
The Pelicans didn't show up. He didn't show up.
What you say about that, Flo, regarding that? I mean, they kind of just swept it under the rug, and they basically said there's a family issue. That's what they said. Never really heard anything else about it. It was just that he didn't contact anyone, and after the game or during the game, you really didn't know what was going on until after the game, and then Noah said he had spoke to him and, quote, it's okay. He's okay. And that was just it. It was just like they moved on. It seemed like the players seemed like it was okay about it, but this also is another continuation of these Knicks and this under Phil Jackson regime right now. I mean, you haven't heard anything about this. This is a time you really want to say something. Like, only thing I know, they fined them and they just said moved on, but what do you say about that? What do you say about that, Flo?
The problem with that, you find them, but if I was that same boat, I would have been suspended. And Rose was not suspended. That's the problem. Myself, D, ULA, we go to work every day. We don't show up to work. We don't call in whatsoever. By the time we come back to work, we're suspended. That's what the problem is. The Knicks did not address the issue properly. All they did was they fined him. Big deal. Derrick Rose is making $20 million. Him being fined $20,000 has no value to him. You suspend him for the Philly game, then you send a message to every player on the roster, letting them know that we're going to hold you accountable. You don't show up to work, you don't play, period.
Okay. And please, devil, I catch somebody I know is going to say, well, you can't compare a regular job to professional athletes. I understand that. But also, just, picking up a phone or text, I think would have been just a total different feelings towards it. And just to the fans, These people pay to see certain people play and you don't show up. What is that saying to them? Especially you want to be here long term. It's good you say at the game, you play hard for the fan. You want to be there. This is your one time it happened. Cool. We understand that. But things happen. But a simple text, any of that would have diminish a lot of these ill feelings some people might have, fans or player wise, even though a lot of players not gonna come out and say it right now. How about you, D? How you feel about it?
Man, to me, I think he was telling a lie, to be honest with you. First of all, it's job abandonment. You can't do that. You just can't do it. And then I was reading an article saying if it was that case of emergency, what emergency that you know that you only need one day? If that was the case of emergency, I'm gonna be out. I'm gonna be out for three or 4 days. If it's my mom, like what? I'm gonna hit y'all up. It's an emergency. I'm gonna get back to you ASAP. I'm gonna let y'all guys know. Because as a leader, Derrick Rose is not a small or minute part of it. He's supposed to be one of the cores that's supposed to be a leader of the team. How you gonna lead if you can't even lead yourself? How you a leader of the team? You can't even lead. Because, Melo's not the vocal part. You have to be another vocal part. Or it's going to be Jakeem Noah. Man, all them guys is garbage right now. Because and then you want $150 million extension to stay. Why? You can't even show up for a regular game against the Pelicans.
I concur, man, right now, And this is the leaders, like you just said. If you leaders, the ship is going to follow the leaders, So this is why this team is up and down right now. It's about accountability at the end of the day. If you can't have the leaders be accountable, like Flo stated earlier, then how you expect these other teams to follow down the road? You see other players just missing the game or something like that. It's just something that could have been addressed, nipped in the bud, and they could have just moved on. But when you keep losing and you're having this little outside distractions, it's going to just start piling into things. And that's what we said in the previous podcast before that. The team finds ways to lose because it's a bad team right now. Might be a bad team altogether. But these things start to happen. You'll start to see more and more of this stuff start to go as the season keeps going down and down the drain. And that's what you're facing right now. And, the Knicks fans deserve better, man. Pretty much that's the main thing to me. They deserve better. But anything else you want to say with that, Flo, regarding that?
I mean, to add on to that, I got to agree with Danny. The players are showing their age. Carmelo's 32 years old. Courtney Lee is 30 years old. Joakim Noah is 31 years old. So right now, these guys, they're showing their age. And they're showing their age real quickly. This team has to get younger. Bottom line, they have to get younger. They need to develop, draft players that are real young. Go after players that's under 30 years old. Another thing that hurts Derrick Rose, his defense has been very, very suspect. And that max money contract of 5 years, $150 million, as what D mentioned. The guy doesn't really play a lick of defense, We know he can score. We know he can get to the basket. But if you're expecting the old Derrick Rose from Chicago, that's not going to happen. What you're seeing on the floor from Derrick Rose is what you're going to get. A guy that's going to average 17 points per game, that's going to shoot around 40% from the field, and that's going to give you at least 5 assists a night at best. That's it. When you look at those numbers, those are better than a couple of other starting point guards in this league. But again, he doesn't play a lick of defense. So there's no value, whatsoever. So they have a lot of decisions that Phil needs to make. Right now, Phil is under fire. And to me personally, he's been hiding. I find it very strange that he had a lot to say about LeBron James and his Possegate nonsense. But this team is falling apart, and he has yet to come out and make his state of the first half address to the New York media of him holding himself accountable, in terms of saying, listen, I stink as a GM. I've done a horrible job. And the reason why this team stinks is because of me. He needs to hold himself accountable. He needs to man up and tell the truth. Until that happens, this team is going to continue to struggle because everything is on Phil, number one.
Right. Tell the truth, as Will Smith would say in the movie right now. But, we're going to see what happens, fellas. This long season is getting longer. As I always say, it's getting longer by the minute, and the season is getting long very quickly. And that's what you're seeing right now. But we'll go back to this topic if anything else come up to our mind. But as usual, we'll go into our tip-off segment right now, fellas. Thanks again for your early assessments. And here we are with tip-off. It's one of our major segments. It's where we've been thinking about a personal topic that we would like to discuss in a group format. And as usual, it pertains to any NBA or sports-related topic that we might find interesting. As always, you hope you, the listener, find it interesting too. Starting off today, Flo, you got anything for tip-off?
Honestly, I got some trade proposals. I was just fooling around on the NBA trade machine, and I have some trade proposals. I'm just kind of curious to hear what your take on this, guys.
Sounds good.
All right, pretty much this is regarding Melo. Since what we've been hearing is that Melo would accept a trade to the Clippers or for the Cavaliers, which is something I've mentioned, I believe, in one of the previous podcasts. So here is two trade proposals, and to the same team. I'm just going to throw out different players. Carmelo Anthony going to the Los Angeles Clippers for power forward Blake Griffin, small forward Paul Pierce, and power forward Brandon Bass. Now, according to the NBA Trade Machine, the money works, and the Knicks would be actually be a -4, and the Clippers would be +1. What do you guys think about this first trade proposal?
You can start off with it, D, if you like.
For that one, of course, it would be a W for the Clippers because now you move Blake Griffin, who's always hurt all the time, and DeAndre Jordan will get more of a role now with the rebounds, things like that. For the Knicks, I'm not sure because if Blake can stay healthy and things like that, but we still wouldn't have a primary scorer. Porzingis is going to be a lot more Porzingis on a scoring route and then the leadership. So for me, I'm iffy. If I'm a Knicks fan, I wouldn't go with that. I think I want a little bit more, somebody who's very more consistent and reliable for me, for the Knicks.
Okay, thank you. This is part of the tip-off thing I was thinking about as well. I saw an earlier article from Charlie Rosen of Hoops Hype, and he was talking about the same thing you were talking about, Flo, regarding what teams Melo theoretically would go to. So this is there's another trade I had. I said at my end of tip-off regarding it's a little bit of change to yours. But just looking at it, basically the way this team is, if you're just trying to break it all up, and you don't want to take a chance of getting Griffin, since this is only two teams Melo say willing to go to, then I would make the deal, basically just because Griffin will be an unrestricted free agent after the season. So if you decide that you don't want to keep him, or if you decide he don't want to stay, you have a lot of money freed up. Same thing with Rose, as at this point, I'm not signing him back if I'm the Knicks. I'm not even going down that road. So if you release him, you get out of Melo's contract. Those are two big slots you have. You can take a chance at going to another major star player. You have to really see who's going to be a free agent after this year and take that chance. But that'll give you at least two slots to take after pretty much a max player or close to max players. And also, if Blake does play well with Porzingis, that's a good chance to see what happens. Because if these are only two teams he's willing to go to, you really don't know where else you're going to go. And if you don't want to keep Melo for another, what's he on this team for another 3 years after this, I don't see any other deals you're going to be able to make in the next year, so it's going to be that much different between the teams that's out here right now. So I would take the deal if the Clippers willing to make it. But I would just change Pierce for a younger player, and my tip-off thing would be for Anderson because I really don't want to deal with Pierce or his contract, or even though I think he's free agent after this, I just wouldn't want to deal with it at this stage. I think he's pretty much done. And what's your other trade proposal, Flo? Or how you feel about this trade that you brought up?
Well, I actually agree with you. I would make this trade because if you look at it, Blake Griffin actually has 2 years left, but he can opt out of this season. And he would probably be one of the top free agents in this year's free agency if he opts out. I would make this trade. Maybe you convince Paul Pierce to retire. Brandon Bass is off your books. So you're freeing up $24 million right here, just by moving Melo. So I would love this trade. Just for salary cap purposes, I love making this trade. We're not getting equal value for Melo, but at the same time, you're freeing up cap space. And what I mentioned before in the previous segment, you want to retool, not rebuild. Porzingis is still young. If you can start moving some of these high-price salary veterans on your team, such as a Courtney Lee, such as a Carmelo Anthony, such as a Joakim Noah, definitely you got to do it. Forget about value for this trade. You're doing this trade based on freeing up salary cap. That's why I'm doing this trade. The second trade proposal I have is I'm throwing in
thing, Flo. Also, he's young enough. Blake is 27. If he does play well with Porzingis for half a season, and you really like the way it look, that's actually somebody that's young enough to build around Porzingis, rather than Melo who's getting up there. But go ahead, Flo.
That's a good point. That's definitely a good point. My second trade proposal is I'm just substituting certain players. So I'm going to keep Pierce, Brandon Bass. I will substitute DeAndre Jordan for Blake Griffin. and I'll throw in Sasha Vujic in the trade. So it'll be Melo and Sasha Vujic to the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm sorry. Yes, to the Los Angeles Clippers for DeAndre Jordan, Paul Pierce, Brandon Bass. According to the NBA trade machine, according to the NBA trade machine, money works. The Knicks will be a -5, and the Clippers will be a +3. So it'll be Melo and Sasha Vujic to the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm sorry, to the Los Angeles Clippers for DeAndre Jordan, Paul Pierce, and Brandon Bass. What do you think about this trade proposal?
And I'd like to hear what y'all say about this one. Since y'all know y'all not the biggest DeAndre Jordan fan, I call a lot of heat outside of the podcast
man.
regarding Jordan.
You already know how I feel about that bum. No.
How shocking.
I want Blake.
No part of Jordan.
I want Blake. Yeah, I want Blake. Nah, man. You know, if DeAndre start hitting some free throws, it'd be all right.
I'm guessing the same thing with you, Flo. I know not a big fan of Jordan as well, but how you feel about it?
I'm not a big fan of Jordan, but I love his defense. That's it. Because that's the only thing he's bringing to the table, his defense. Nothing else. Other than that, it's not a great trade for the Knicks at all. Like I said, only bringing defense. He'll improve the Knicks' defense. That's it. Nothing else.
Very true, very true. I gotta agree. Even though I like Jordan a lot better than both of you guys do, I don't think he'd be a good fit with the Knicks. Certain players, I just don't think they're a good fit in New York. I've always been like that. I've seen since the Randy Johnson back in the Yankees, with baseball, it's a different sport. It's just certain players I get a certain feeling with, and usually I'm right with that sometimes. I don't know how well he would do in here. I feel like this team was a little more veterans around it. He would play better here, but I'm really not a fan of him just starting with Porzingis there. Although it might be a good fit looking at it, like spacing-wise, because he could really clog up the middle for it and let Porzingis do his thing on the other side or the weak side or something like that. So it may work, but I'm just not that sure how that would work in the offense. It's another person you have to worry about free throws, taking them out at the end of the game. I can see New York fans really getting on him late with things like that. So I really wouldn't make that trade if it was the Knicks. I'd rather say that spot for someone else at this time. But any other trade proposal you have, Flo?
I have one more.
Okay.
I heard some rumors about the Orlando Magics were trying to go after Gordon Dragic. So this is my trade proposal. It would be Gordon Dragic going to Orlando, for Nikolai Vujic and Alfred Creighton. The money works according to the NBA trade machine. Gordon Dragic is averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Nikolai Vujic, now he's off the bench. He's not starting no more. He lost his starting role to Mr. Biyombo. So Vujic is averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. And the Orlando Magic's lost, especially Coach Frank Vogel's lost a lot of confidence in Alfred Payton. He's averaging 12 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. So it would be a +2 for Miami and a -4 for Orlando, according to the NBA trade machine. And the money works. What do you guys feel about this trade proposal?
How about you, Danny D? How you feel about that proposal?
If I'm Orlando, of course I'm trying to take it. I'm definitely taking it because Golden Dragic and Evan Fournier in the backcourt is going to be a good thing with a ball in the middle. But for Miami, nah, I wouldn't do it.
Why not?
Alfred Payton, he's playing horrible right now. And then you need a point guard to really be a general for the team for Miami.
Okay, but you have Pat Riley that can work around and maybe in the background, as well as Spoelstra. He's a pretty good coach with players like that. You don't think he could work around him since he's somewhat young, as well as getting Vujic, who'd be maybe a good size person.
He has to go to some Damian Lillard, like summer camp or something like that, to work on that game. He's not playing that good.
Oh man, I hear you.
Get a haircut.
The only issue with that, I don't know where you're going to play him. I mean, because you already got Hassan Whiteside there, but you're going to move him to power forward.
Exactly.
That's the only thing I look at it wise. I'll be a little nervous about. You can't really play them both at the same time. It's going to be a big clogging up in the middle. But Other than that, I would look as kind of a win-win because both teams are kind of start fresh with those players, and all those players involved basically need a new address because the teams they're on basically giving up on him at this point. Dragic is not playing like he did in Phoenix at all when I was a big fan of his. And like you said, Peyton and Vucevic, although I like Vucevic, for whatever reason, Orlando just doesn't seem to want to work around him. They just don't seem like they have him in their future projections or anything of that nature. So I would take the chance of making that move. I just don't know where you would play him once he comes over to Miami, unless you're trying to move him again in like a 3-team trade or something like that down the road. I'm not sure. How about you, Flo? What you think about it?
Personally, I'd rather trade Vucevic and offer Peyton than throwing another player or draft pick to the Knicks for Joakim Noah. That's what I would do personally.
I know you're a big Vucevic fan. I would take that too if we can get it.
Me too.
But I just don't see, the Knicks being able to make that. What you said, D?
I'll take that deal.
Sounds like a win.
Definitely. I think it's great.
I don't know. Does that even work salary cap wise, Flo?
Like I said, I'll probably have to throw in. Orlando would have to throw in a draft pick or two, maybe a second rounder, and maybe it works that way. Or I would have to look at another guy on Orlando's roster, see that's making like $1 million, $2 million to make that trade officially work. Since Noah's making $17 million this year.
Got you. All right, something to look into. Thank you, Flo. Appreciate it. How about you, Danny D? You got anything for tip off today?
On tip off today, we was talking about NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, talking about one of the most important factors. Yeah, it's talking about the most important factors in NBA right now is going abroad. And now we had 2 sellout games in Mexico. So they might be thinking about developing a franchise out in Mexico, an NBA team in Mexico, and also having NBA developmental league out in Mexico. So that's for my tip-off today. How y'all feel about that?
Did you speak to Trump about that? That's what I want to know.
You got to double check on that. I don't know. But if it's
Trump
about money, it might slide. He might have to take a double check if he be the GM of it.
Okay. I want to get in politics, but I feel you. That's what the Knicks, the Knicks, see, it's still on my mind, Knicks fan, there you go. But that's what NBA has been doing. You learned it from David Stern, always about expansion. I'm not really a big fan of expanding his teams right now. I feel like it's not enough time to go around. It's not that hard to do it in Mexico because it's not that far from other places within the NBA. You can definitely make that happen. It's definitely probably some untapped financial reasons to do it. But just for competitive balance-wise right now, I don't think that would be a good move for the NBA. How about you, D? What you think overall about it?
I don't know about the franchise, but I would definitely look into a developmental league. I would definitely have a team like that and have, like, say, if it was like if you like maybe Phoenix Sun having a D League in Mexico, things like that. I would like that.
Yeah, I would go for that more. How about you, Flo?
Gentlemen, I actually agree with you guys. I would prefer a developmental league in Mexico, specifically Tijuana, a developmental league in Tijuana. Definitely, I would do that.
Could be trouble.
And
That could be trouble in Tijuana, man.
But here's the problem. You have a lot of horrible teams in the NBA, like the Knicks and Atlanta Hawks, stuff like that. You need to contract these teams. There's too many teams in the NBA. That's where the problem is. Too many awful teams in the NBA. Let's eliminate all the awful teams in the NBA. Too many teams in the NBA. That's where the problem is. Too many teams in the NBA. We got to contract a lot of these NBA teams.
But that's not going to happen.
Too many teams in the NBA.
Because these owners want that money, And that's the thing. Because with these teams being so many, is why I don't like expansion. And also these players now don't want to build these teams up no more. They want to combine their forces on one team, Captain Planet style. So I don't want to add another team and then have to worry about, they don't want to stay in this Mexican team. They know it's going to be a long time before it's going to win. The same thing that you've seen that happen in Oklahoma. It just happened that Westbrook stayed. But for the most part, all these teams are having that same issue. Sacramento as well. So I definitely don't think that's a good time to try to expand it at this moment right now. If, like you said, if anything, it's time to retraction. But, that's not going to happen. At least I don't see it right now. But thank you, Danny D, for your tip-off. Lastly, for my tip-off, question-wise, or just what you guys think, Flo took one of the early ones I was thinking about regarding Melo trade for Griffin, but also just regarding the other team they talked about, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was looking at that trade machine wise. The only player you really can make the deal for would be Kevin Love. He has 4 years left, and Melo has 3. If they're willing to do it, I know LeBron's pretty much running that team right now, GM wise. So LeBron time. But just looking at that, would you want to make that deal for Kevin Love and try to bring him to the Knicks? Starting with you, Flo, how you feel about that deal wise?
No to Kevin Love. I would prefer Uncle Drew. I'm not a fan of Uncle Drew, but I'll take him over Kevin Love. No to Kevin Love. If you're going to offer me Kevin Love, I'll stay with Melo. No to Kevin Love. I know Kevin Love was having a great season, but no. He doesn't play defense. No. Number one. Number two, it'll be a reunion with his former coach, Kurt Rambis. These guys can't stand each other. They had a fist fight in Minnesota. No.
Are you sure? Thanks, Flo. How about you, Danny D? What you think about bringing Love for
I was
Melo?
Flo on that one. Yeah, man. Kevin Love don't take no defense. I don't know which Kevin Love we're going to get, the jump shooter one or I'm all right. I'll stay with Melo on that one.
Wow.
You can't go, Melo. You can't go.
And it's sad. His stock really dropped since he's been to Cleveland. Because I think if we talked about this deal a couple years ago, he's in Minnesota. I think we might have jumped at it at that time. He's a younger, You seem like you could really build around him, looking at the scale-wise with Porzingis. But I had to agree with both of you fellas right now. I'm not a big fan of how Kevin Love looks in the big stage. I think he's been somewhat exposed. He doesn't look like the player he used to be. And if he's playing this way with LeBron, Kyrie, and a stacked team like that, I don't see him playing that great with the Knicks at this point, You need somebody who's going to step right in here. It's going to be willing to put this team not so much on his shoulders, but at least take half the weight with Porzingis, and you can really count on him and deal on the big stage in New York. I definitely don't see that with Kevin Love right now. I stick with Melo and try to make another deal next season if that was the case. But that was our tip-off segment. Thanks again, fellas. Appreciate it. All right, listen now. Please stay tuned as we take a short message reminder break. Immediately following the break, we'll jump right into our NBA Honorable Mentions of the Week. Hey everyone, quick reminder, please subscribe, share, and give a positive review to the podcast when you have a chance on iTunes. It'd be very much appreciated. You also can find links to our show on Spreaker.com, Stitcher.com, Pocket Cast, and then we're also on Google Play. You also can find links to our show on our Facebook fan page, which is also known as Knicksfandom. In addition, if you have any comments or have any mailbag questions that you'd like us to address on the show, you can submit them via email at knicksfandom@yahoo.com. Lastly, this is also an independent podcast that is not officially affiliated with the New York Knicks at this point and all time. Now back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Hey listeners, we're back. Thank you for that short little intermission right there. And as we said, we're jumping right into our NBA Honorable Mentions of the Week. Yay! And we're going to start today with Flo. Who you have for your NBA Honorable Mention of the Week?
Gentlemen, my NBA honorable mention of the week is Gordon Hayward, small forward for the Utah Jazz, starting small forward. He had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists against King James in a 100-92 victory over the world champion Cleveland Cavaliers in Utah. So my honorable mention of the week is Gordon Hayward, starting small forward of the Utah Jazz. 28 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists. Kudos to Gordon Hayward.
Thank you very much, Flo. Sounds good. How about you, Danny D? What's your NBA honorable mention of the week?
My NBA honorable mention of the week is NBA former player. If you guys remember, Isaiah Austin. Do you guys remember this kid was drafted between the 15th and 16th pick in the 2014 draft? Remember, he couldn't play because he was diagnosed with Marfan syndrome, a disorder that affects. Right. Remember that? Remember that guy?
Yeah, I follow him
from Baylor. Remember him, Flo? Yeah. Guys, he's been medically cleared, and he is playing overseas ball in Europe right now with a Serbian club right now. He's playing ball, y'all. He's playing ball.
That's very good. Yeah, I saw that. He was really happy about that because he really didn't want to give up on his NBA hopes, which he still got a chance to make that as well. So, it's just a real good feel-good story right there,
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Isaiah Austin, playing out in Serbia. You got that contract, man. Playing professionally, man. Go do your thing, young man. Do your thing.
That's right.
Congrats, back on the court. Congratulations.
That's right. Keep it healthy. Hopefully, we'll see him NBA down the road. You never know.
Hopefully, Knicks will sign him. Get rid of Joakim Noah.
They need him. He had 10 points
good.
and rebounds. That's more than Noah had. Good gracious. And he's 7 foot, and he's way young. He's 23.
And you can't
He's better
teach
than Joakim Noah. Healthy or not healthy.
That's true. All right. For my NBA Entrepreneur of the Week is Isaiah Thomas. He's averaging 28.2 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists per game. And Boston has a record of 25-15 right now, I believe. He's basically playing lights out, He's one of the better point guards in the league. He's doing a lot better than I really thought he was going to do career-wise. And he's been putting up a lot of big numbers this last week and everything of that nature. So he's my NBA Entrepreneur Mention of the Week. Yay! And right now, I just want to go into our final segment for the day, fellas. And that's the lightning bolt for our hot topic. And for our hot topic for the day is basically the 66th NBA All-Star Game is scheduled to be played in New Orleans at the Smoothie King Center on Sunday, February 19, 2017. The voting schedule concludes tomorrow, January 16th, and starters will be announced on January 19th, as well as the reserve will be announced on the 26th. So we're asking for our hot topic of the day, what players truly deserve to be in this year's NBA All-Star Game when you count their individual stats, team record, overall impact on the NBA. And I just want to start with the Eastern Conference right now, but also in regards to the NBA All-Star Game. Okay, and just regarding the NBA All-Star, just looking at some of the players that's basically leading voting-wise, I'll just start with the Western side: Stephen Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Zaza Pachulia. We're going to get into that. And Leonard. As well, for the Eastern Conference right now, who's leading is Kyrie Irving, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Oscar Pinko, and Kevin Love. So, fellas, that's what it's looking like right now. And I just want to start the Eastern Conference, starting with you, Danny D. Who's your top 5 looking at it? Who you think truly deserves to be in the NBA All-Star Game right now?
My starting 5 right now, East, we're going Isaiah Thomas, DeRozan out of Toronto, King James, LeBron James. I'm going to give the nudge to my man Jimmy Butler, and we go Milwaukee, Giannis Antetokounmpo out of Milwaukee Bucks. My starting 5, East.
Ooh, yeah, we're going to have some debates on this one, fellas. So now, all right, that's a good list. I got a lot of plays on my list as well. How about you, Flau? Who's your starting 5 for the Eastern Conference?
Wow. I mean, Danny took 3 players that I have on my list here. So I'm just gonna repeat the first 3 players he mentioned. Isaiah Thomas, averaging 28 points per game, starting point guard for the Eastern Conference All-Star, in my opinion. DeMar DeRozan, starting 2 guard, averaging 28.2 points per game. King James, small forward. I don't have to say any more about his stats. Number 4, I'm gonna shock you. I'm gonna go with Kevin Love, averaging 21 points per game, 11 rebounds. And at the 5, I'm going to go with Brook Lopez. Definitely.
Can't have no Brook Lopez, man. Who you getting paid off him? Get out of here.
Hey. That's his 5, man. That's his 5, brother. That's his 5. Go ahead, Flo. That's your 5.
It's all good.
Thank you, D. I appreciate that.
It's all jokes here, Phil. It's all jokes here. I take that over Jaja
Brook Lopez is still better than DeAndre Jordan, I'll tell you that.
That's right.
Don't go down that topic, man. That's a whole different show. We'll be here for a while. But,
you can bring that topic next week's show.
Sounds good to me, All right. Here's my top 5. I kind of disagree with y'all this time a little bit. For me, it'd be Kevin Love as well, Flo. LeBron James, no more need to be said. DeMar DeRozan, Isaiah Thomas, and that center, kind of shocking to y'all, is Dwight Howard. I think he's need to be the starting center right now. They, in the background, I'm missing. What's the big lads, the big hubbugs back there? Man? What's up with that? What's with that, man? I hear you, Flo. What's with the hate on the Dwight Howard pick, brother?
brother, you know Dwight Howard, even on his worst day, on his best day, he still couldn't beat Brook Lopez in a game of 1-on-1. Let's be honest. Brook Lopez is the best center in the Eastern Conference. We got to keep it real here.
No way. Did you see Dwight Howard numbers versus Brook Lopez? You see this team right now?
You pull out. Do you want me to pull out Brook Lopez's numbers? Do you really want to
put Brook Lopez up there, please? Put him up there. And put up that horrible Brooklyn Nets numbers as well.
You don't want that. Trust me, man. You sure?
We don't believe you. You need more people, man. We need it. Bring it up here, man.
All right. Here we go. Averaging 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks per game. Having a career year. Not only that, he's shooting from 3, man. Averaging close to 40% from threes.
And what's their record?
Oh, let me correct that. 35% from 3. I apologize. 35% from 3. And he's also shooting 84% from the free throw line.
And
when can Dwight Howard make a...
What's the Brooklyn record right now?
I'll give it to you. Hold on. Don't worry. I'll give it to you. We know they stink, but...
They un terrible, man. Un garbage, man.
Guess what? They play hard in every game. I can't say that for the Knicks.
That's all you can say for the Nets right now. They play hard and lose.
I apologize. I'm gonna get.
All right. In the meantime, I'll jump into Dwight Howard though, as you find out those stats real quick, those standings. Dwight Howard, I was at
8 in 32 losses.
Say that again.
8 wins and 32 losses.
8 wins and 32 losses. That's not gonna happen, man. That's for Dwight Howard, 13.9 points per game, 13.3 rebounds per game, 1 assist per game, and a record of 23-17 with the Hawks right now. I got to go with Dwight Howard, man. The team is winning. He's putting up a double-double. I don't know what else you want as a starting, center right now to me, in the Eastern wise. But, we agree to disagree on that part. So I guess we'll just go right into the West. For the Western Conference, who's your top 5 for that, Flau?
Okay, for the Western Conference All-Stars, starting at the point, number 0, Russell Westbrook of the Oklahoma City Thunder, putting this team on his back every night, averaging a triple-double. Making everyone forget about Kevin who? At the shooting guard position. His former teammate, James Harden, the Beard, again, playing excellent job. Look like him and Mike D'Antoni is like long-lost brothers, man. Oh, my goodness. There's a love fest over there going on in Houston. Definitely. Small forward, Kawhi Leonard. I don't have to say any more. Starting 4, the unibrow, Anthony Davis. And at the 5, Boogie! Averaging 28 points per game. The best center in the NBA, period. And Brook Lopez is the second best.
Oh, gosh. All right. It's hard to argue with that one. Sounds good. I got a lot of those players on my team as well. How about you, Danny D? Who's your starting 5 for the Western Conference?
Some of the flow. I just got one exception. I got James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant. My center is DeMarcus Cousins, but I don't got the brow. I got Kawhi Leonard from the Spurs holding it down.
Get your hand out of my pocket, man. That's the same 5 I got. Same 5. That's right. That's how we do it on Knicksfandom. That's exactly the same 5 I got in that order. Like you said, it's hard to go wrong with any of these guys. And it definitely shows you, when you look at the NBA voting for the All-Star, they need to take that out to fans. I'm sorry. I know this is a fans' game, but you can't look at these guys when they retire and talk about this guy was a 10-time All-Star, 8 times All-Star. And I'm hearing stuff like they want to vote Kobe Bryant in. No disrespect to Kobe. The man didn't play all season. It's like, don't disrespect the players that's actually out there playing every game, out there putting these numbers up. And you got Jaja Pachulas leading in the score for votes. I mean, that's just ridiculous, man. Dwayne Wade, come on, man. These guys shouldn't even be in the All-Star selection. And you putting them as the All-Star starters. And then you go act like this is a real game. And then you go have these teams don't play no defense. And you wonder why this ratings suck. And everybody record about the slam dunk or 3-point contest instead of the actual game. You don't put the players that belong out there. And then you don't play no defense for the players that's out there half the time. And then you're going to say, oh, this guy was a 10-time All-Star, and say this guy was better than that guy down the road. I just hate that part about the All-Star game. Take it out of their hands, put it in people that actually really watching the game, put it back in the coaches and the players' hands more. Although I don't know, the players kind of shaky with that sometimes too. Mm-hmm. But that's my little rant right there, fellas. Go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, are we going to discuss for each of us? We're going to discuss rounding out the 7 other players.
Absolutely, that's what we're gonna go right into right now. Right. So you can pick your last 7 reserves for the East, and then we'll go into the West for each one of us, and debate it, see how we feel about our picks. So you can start with the next 7 you would have to fill out your roster for the Eastern Conference, Flau.
All right, for the Eastern Conference, backup point guard Kemba Walker, averaging 22.9 points per game. Other point guard Kyrie Irving of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Uncle Drew, averaging 23.8 points per game. Small forward, the Greek Freak, averaging 23.2 points per game. Center, trust the process, Joel Embiid, averaging 19.6 points per game.
Wait, but who's that again?
The process.
Joel Embiid, a guy I caught a lot of heat for the last year or so. This guy was, basically calling him a bum. He's never going to play again and things of that nature. Now you calling him an all-star.
Come on, get over it.
How things have changed, man. How soon they forget.
Get over it. Listen, it's a hot topic. He's on a bummy team. I can average 20 on a bummy team.
We're not talking about Brook Lopez right now, fella. We talking about, the process. But go ahead, Flo. Continue.
Oh, boy. All right, rounding out the last 3 spots on the Eastern Conference. Bradley Beal, starting shooting guard for the Washington Wizards. He'll be the backup to shooting guard, averaging 22.5 points per game, and helping the Wizards to a 20-19 record. Other backup point guard, Kyle Lowry, averaging 22.4 points per game, helping Toronto to a 26-13 record. Actually, let me correct that. 27 since they smashed the Knicks. 27-13 record. And last but not least, Hassan Whiteside of the Miami Heat, averaging 17.6 points per game. There was a toss-up between him and Jimmy Butler, and I went with Hassan Whiteside.
Okay. All right. We'll have a little debate with that. We'll see how that go. I got a little difference of opinion, but it sounds good. I can't argue too much about it. Thank you, Flo. How about you, Danny D? Who's your 7 reserve for the Eastern Conference?
7 reserve, didn't even go in order. It just went who I think was talent-wise. I got Kyrie out there balling, Kyle Lowry, Kevin Love, Paul George, Kemba Walker, Paul Millsap, and now it's a toss-up between Andre Drummond or Whiteside. And since Detroit is playing like really doo-doo, I'm going with Hassan Whiteside.
Okay. All right. I understand. Sounds good. I did it a little Go ahead, Flo.
No, I said that's interesting. That was interesting 7 players. Very interesting.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely hear where you're coming from. I did a little tweak, a little bit different. I've kind of put into their records, I think, also that has something to say about it. That's kind of my push when I see players that's very similar stats. I kind of go back to their standards. So for me, my last 7 basically would be I have Paul Millsap. I also have Al Horford. And I have Otto Pinker. Yeah, Horford putting up big numbers, man. You got to watch that. And plus, you got to give credit for these teams winning. Atlanta's winning, and they really shouldn't be winning. Right? I mean, not Atlanta. Go ahead.
Finish up your last. I'm going to debate you on Al Horford. Go ahead. Finish up your last.
On what's the name? Boston Watch. But anyway, and also Jimmy Butler. And I also have John Wall on my team. I think he's the biggest reason why Washington's trying to stay in there. He's also basically averaging a double-double almost in assists and points. And also you got to have somebody represent, for New Orleans and things of that nature with Kemba Walker. And then I have Kyle Lowry to fill out my spots for the last 12. So what's your debate regarding that, Flo?
Before I pick Al Horford, I don't think he's the reason why Boston's that good. So if I'm going to take another player on Boston roster, I'll either take Avery Bradley Jr. or Jay Crowder. I'm not taking Al Horford. No way.
he has some injury issues. I'll give you that. But I also think his numbers and looking at if you want to fill up a higher position within their power forward / center, I'd rather go that route because I feel like you got a lot of point guards and two guards that really deserve to push a little bit over Avery Bradley, although I'm a big fan of his. I think I would put Kemba Walker, Lowry, and Wall over Bradley at this point. So that was my main reason why I went for that.
I mean, I thought about Wall, but I felt like with Bradley Beal that cancel him out per se, But you can interchange between Beal and Wall, but I felt like I'd rather go with Beal only because he's living up to that contract, And John Wall, his contract is about to expire soon, so I just felt like Beal, the organization put all their money in Beal, so he's gotta represent the organization in the All-Star game, They invested a lot of money in this guy. He looks healthy for the first time in a long time, So I felt like, between Beal and Wall, I felt like I had to go with Beal, which canceled out Wall. So.
Hey, but I was going for Wall. He's having 22.9, 4.5 rebounds, and 10.2 assists. I couldn't let him sit down with that, man. That's almost triple-double numbers right there almost. So, but I understand where you're coming from. This is a push to decide which way you want to go with that. How about you, D? What you say in regards of our last 7 reserves overall?
Well, there's definitely going to be some snubs, but sound pretty good to me.
Okay, we'll go to the snubs as we finish this off. We'll do one little segment for that. And for the last 7 for the Western Conference, you fill out your ballot. Who would be your last 7 there, D?
I got Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Gordon Hayward, Marc Gasol, Klay Thompson, and I might have to slide in DeAndre Jordan or Draymond Green, but I'm going to go with DeAndre Jordan.
Okay. All right. We got a lot of similar ones there, too, as well.
Yeah. Very similar to what I have. Very similar.
All right. Thank you, D. All right. How about you, Flo? Who's your last 7 reserve for the Western Conference?
I'm going to shock with a couple players' names, but let me add on to what D mentioned to the players that we agree on. DeAndre Jordan will be the backup center of the Los Angeles Clippers, averaging 12 points, 14 rebounds a night. Also, Marc Gasol of the Memphis Grizzlies. He's been healthy. He's averaging 19.3 points per game. That's the reason why Memphis is playing well, is because he's out there on the floor as opposed to Mike Conley Jr.,
Stealing money.
My God.
Stealing money?
What did he mumble?
He said stealing money, man.
Stealing money.
Robin Banks stealing money.
My guards. I'm going to shock you with my guards. Ready?
We ready.
All right. George Hill of the Utah Jazz, averaging 18.4 points per game. George Hill. Backup small forward, Gordon Hayward, Utah Jazz. Starting small forward, averaging 22.1 points per game. Him and Mr. Hill combined are helping Utah to have a 25-16 record right now. My backup power forward will be Karl Anthony Towns. And the last player to be on this Western Conference All-Star as a reserve, my last player, is Kevin Durant, averaging 26 points per game for the Golden State Warriors. Barely made it. Barely. Oh, I forgot one more player. I apologize. Dame Dollar, averaging 26.3 points per game. I apologize for that. Dame Dollar, Portland Trail Blazers.
I couldn't put him up there. He didn't play enough games this year. I can't do that right now. But, I see where you're coming from. Thank you very much. For my last 7, basically it's Marc Gasol, DeBrow, Gordon Hayward, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, he snuck in there, Blake Griffin, and Chris Paul. I think you got to give both of those the push. When I looked at their numbers, because of the winning, I could have went Towns over Griffin, but I thought Griffin numbers were a little bit better considering they're winning. The same thing with Paul. He got the slight push as well as Curry at the end. And that was my last 7 for the Western Conference. But the one thing I noticed as this show is Knicks Fandom, And I heard a lot of push for Carmelo Anthony and Kristaps Porzingis, and none of us picked them, man. What happened with that?
They stank this year as a team. That's the problem.
And that's the thing. I keep hearing this, like, keep pushing in, vote for that. I'm sorry, man. You're not getting that vote this year. Not the way these Knicks are playing. Not if you're watching them every day. Even in numbers-wise, you can't say this they deserve it. Porzingis or Melo. Neither one. If you're going to do it, it would be Porzingis over Melo. But none of them deserve it right now, especially with Melo shooting 42%. This is the worst he shot field goal percentage since his rookie year. Think about it. His rookie year, he hasn't shot this bad, man. And you're talking about this is all-star caliber. That's crazy when you look at that, man.
You're not going to get no all-star vote for me. Stop fighting in games and stop getting ejected out of games. No, you're not going to get no vote for me, man. No.
That's not going to happen. Not this year, man. There's way too many other players out there that deservingly should be in this all-star game. Sorry.
And probably not next year either.
Well, now I want to be on the Knicks if that's the case, unless that'd be a big turnaround. Hope they prove us wrong, man. I hope they have an all-star last half of the season. I don't see it right now, but you never know. But for honorable mentions, I'd like to see who did y'all pick for the East that should have made your team and was kind of a push and didn't make your team. I started off with some of my picks I wanted to put on the team, and I didn't. For like 6 players I really looked at, and that was Paul George, Kyrie Irving, Avery Bradley, like you stated, Flo, earlier. And, also had really good numbers I looked at was Jabari Parker. It's just they didn't win enough games for me. But he's having double digits. He's putting up numbers like you would think Melo would be putting up wise. He really plays like a young Melo in that respect. And then the 6th one would have been Porzingis if the Knicks were winning more games, just looking at pure stats-wise. And y'all have an honorable mention for the Eastern Conference that you really wanted to put in that just didn't quite make your 12-man roster? Starting with you, Flo.
Jimmy Butler, averaging 25 points per game for Chicago Bulls. He's the one player where I had to decide between the Greek Freak and Jimmy Butler. I went with the Greek Freak, honestly, because I just felt like, him starting at the point guard position, even though he's 6'11", is really helping Milwaukee get back on track. I believe they have a winning record this year. And the Greek Freak is the number one reason for that, man. He's scoring, he's attacking the basket, it's making Milwaukee relevant again, Milwaukee haven't been relevant since Ray Allen was on the team,
Very true, very true. Thank you, Flo. How about you, Danny? Do you got anybody in the Eastern Conference for honorable mention that almost made your list?
One person would have been like Jay Crowder or KP if KP would have won the games. I really wanted to put him on there, but we ain't getting the W's, man. Can't cut it. Maybe Jay Crowder from the Celtics.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. And how about Western Conference fellows? Who's players that you think should have made it didn't quite make your roster? I had a couple for mine. I started off as well. It was Aldridge. He had pretty decent. Towns. Eric Gordon, your guy, Flo, actually put up pretty good numbers. Actually leading the lead, I believe, in 3-pointers made this year. And also Wiggins had pretty good numbers, but the thing that hurt him, same thing with Towns, really not winning enough games. And another guy who actually not all-star, but actually playing a lot better than I thought he was Zach Randolph, your dude, D. Zach Randolph putting up pretty good numbers considering where he's been at and, the hard things starting off the season with the death in the family type stuff. So, that was my kind of place I was on the bubble. How about you, Danny? You got anybody that you want to put for the West?
Me, I'll have to probably go with a Rudy Gobert type of player. I think Rudy Gobert should definitely be up there for the center as a front court. And maybe even like a Steven Adams half and half because they're doing okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I could see that one too. How about you, Flo? Who you have for the Western Conference that might have been on the bubble?
Zach LaVine of the Minnesota T-Wolves. I believe he's averaging 20 points per game as a starting shooting guard. And also Rudy Gobert. I really wanted to put him on this All-Star team, but I left him out. And that was a tough one because it was like a toss-up between him and Durant. And I picked Durant. I was at the point where I really didn't want to pick no Golden State player on this All-Star team. I was really, really wanted to make sure to take him off. But then I had to look at the numbers. I just felt like Durant is the one guy that's truly deserving to be on that team as opposed to Curry or Klay Thompson.
I see. Very good. Yeah, I concur with you. I can definitely see that. One thing that stood out looking at this All-Star game and the players that's on there, not to beat a dead horse again, but is looking at Oklahoma. Just seeing the players that they could have had for their starting lineup would definitely made the All-Star starting lineup team. Just Durant, Westbrook, and Harden again. Just, it's always going to be in my mind of what could have been, But, thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. And that was our hot topic for the day. And as we come to the conclusion for today's show, just closing remarks wise, starting with you, Danny D. You got any closing remarks for today?
Thank you for the listeners and everything like that. Keep on listening. And Knicks, please, let's get some W's, guys. Come on, let's rally together.
That's it. How about you? Thank you, Danny D. How about you, Flo? What's your closing remarks for the day?
Well, I definitely want to thank all the listeners. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Please continue to subscribe. And again, this is an A-list show for the A-list fans, Knicks fans, and all NBA fans. Please continue to support the show. As for the Knicks, it's time for them to start going on a winning streak. Starting tomorrow, they have the Atlanta Hawks, the Martin Luther King Day game, early game. So it'll be nice the Knicks can go on a winning streak. Start winning with this game tomorrow.
Thank you, Flo. Gotta agree with both of you fellas. The Knicks need to start something, man. Our fans deserve better, like I keep saying. And what's better time than to do it during MLK Day, Let's keep it going. As always, big thanks to my co-hosts. Once again, thanks again to our loyal listeners for tuning in to the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Continue to spread the word. Have a great week. Enjoy your holiday, people. With Martin Luther King Day. Peace, everyone. Be well and take care. See ya.